Hi, I'm Ciara, and this is What the Fuckle, where I answer your questions about the Irish language. So in this video, I want to talk about words that we use all around the world that have origins in the Irish language. You might not realise it, but some of the words that you use might actually come directly from Irish. For the purposes of this video, I want to be focusing on a more global scale, and so I'm going to ignore Hiberno-English words. Hiberno-English is a type of English that we speak here in Ireland, and for obvious geographical reasons, we have more words in our speech that come directly from Irish. But I've put together for this video a list of words that are used around the world that have a basis in Irish. And for every word that I mention, I'm going to have a list down below in the description box with a link to a dictionary that shows the word it came from in Irish. So the first word is brogue. You might know this word for two different reasons. First, you might know it as the shoe, which is a brogue, which is like kind of a leathery, nice shoe. I can't know how to describe it, with designs on it sometimes. Or you might know it as an accent, like people would say an Irish brogue. So it actually comes directly from the Irish word brogue, which means shoe. And the reason it developed into accent, they say, is that just it became characteristic of Irish people that they wore these specific kind of leathery shoes. It's the accent of the person who wore those shoes became known as a brogue. So the second word is puck, like a hockey puck. And this is said to come from the Irish word puck, which means like to hit something with a stick. So no surprises as to why it became known as that. The next word is slew of. So if you've ever heard someone saying a slew of something, that comes from the Irish slua, which means like a large group of something. It's usually used to describe people, like a crowd of people. The next word is banshee. So obviously this is a word that is to do with Irish, but I just thought I'd explain what it exactly means. So it comes from banshee, which means a woman, like a magic woman or a fairy woman. But then it has an extra meaning when the two words are used together as a banshee, a wailing banshee. The next word might surprise you. The word Smithereen, like if you exploded something and there were smithereens everywhere, comes from an Irish word, Smithereeny, which means small bits of something. You know that diminutive een at the end of something in Irish means like a small, like Bohereen is a small boher, like a small road. Or Roisin, the name, means like small rose. So Smithereen comes from smither, which is a small fragment of something, and then een, so it's smaller again, little fragments. The word galore, like if you had lots of something or different types, you'd say, we have this galore, or that galore, or we have sweets galore, or cakes galore. Can you tell that I like sweets and cakes? But yeah, that comes from galore in Irish, which means plenty. Then we have shebeen. So shebeen is essentially a speakeasy, like a place, an illegal bar or an illegal pub. And that comes directly from the Irish word shebeen, which means an illicit whiskey. The next word is shamrock. So although this obviously is to do with Irish, like the word banshee, people might think it's an English word. But actually shamrock comes from the Irish shamrogue, which just means a type of clover, which is exactly what it is. But it's interesting because we're so used to hearing English, you'd almost assume that shamrogue comes from shamrock and not the other way around. I know that's what I thought when I initially learned the word. I just thought, oh, shamrogue. Oh, they just took it straight from the English. But no, it's the opposite way around. Shamrogue is the Irish word and shamrock comes from that. If you've ever called someone a hooligan, you actually are referring back to an Irish surname, the Irish surname Hooligan. So apparently in the 1880s and the 1890s, in newspapers and like music halls and stuff, there was this stock character, like a stock Irish character called a hooligan or a hooligan, and he'd always be getting up to trouble, I suppose. So then that became a word for somebody who was always getting up to trouble. The word Tory, as in the British political party, Tory, actually comes from an Irish word that means like an outlaw. I looked into the history of this and how it developed from an Irish word meaning outlaw to an English political party, but it seems quite long and complicated, so you can go look that up yourself if you want. I can link it below. But yeah, that's where the word Tory originates. And finally, the word brat, as in if you call someone like a bold brat, that actually comes from the Irish word brot, which means like a cloak or a covering. So a brot became used in English as a word for like a raggedy covering, and that's what like beggar children will be wearing, and they'd be calling them brats as a result. So that's how the word entered English. So there's a few examples of the variety of words in English that come from Irish. There are some claims about other words that come from Irish, and a lot of them are false. So I'm going to be doing a video that kind of goes through some of the fake etymology of words and how people claim they're from Irish. But that's all for this week of What the Fuckle. If you have any other questions, please feel free to get in touch and I'll do my very best to answer them for you.